Hi guys, I'm Celeste Noel, and this is the Evermind channel. Today I'm going to talk about TNLP, or Transformational Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It's a bit of a mouthful, so we're just going to stick with TNLP, okay? And a bit about chronic pain and some questions if you're watching, and you can do this whether you have had chronic pain or not, and you can just substitute the words chronic pain with whatever the thing is that you don't really want in your life, or it's not serving you, so on and so forth. So I'm going to talk about that towards the end, and I'll give you a little brief, this is my experience of TNLP versus conventional NLP. There'll be some clarifying questions for your own homework if you want to do it, to see if it helps you. It's stuff that has helped me, and I'd like to share it in that sense. First of all, I have not done a script. This is just I wanted this to be more of an organic conversation. This is my experience. This is what I've done. This is who I've worked with. If you like people that are all hype and they do that kind of NLP stuff, this is not gonna be your girl. You're gonna want to find other videos. Don't subscribe. If, however, that is your thing, feel free to subscribe, and we'll stay in touch with more of these videos and that kind of thing. So, best of luck listening. I hope you enjoy. Transformational NLP. Get this book if you don't have it, if you've never seen it. Transformational NLP by Carl Buchheit is the book to get. He has been one of my main instructors, and I love him dearly. He's a wonderful man. I learned from a place called NLP Marin. He is the co-founder, training director, and just all-around good guy. I recommend reading the book. I recommend going to check out, I know they do free seminars. I think they do free seminars. They used to. That may have changed. You'll need to check on their website. All of the links to everything is going to be down below, so check it out. I will reference that book and Carl, and I learned under Michelle Masters as well. She's also an amazing, wonderful human being. I will put her links down below. I recommend checking them out. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Transformational NLP, TNLP. God, I can't talk today. It's been a thing. TNLP versus conventional NLP, all right? In my experience, both having met people who have learned conventional NLP and having watched conventional NLP videos, both, whether it's on YouTube or, I've been looking at an online conventional NLP course, just to get an idea of what are most NLP people teaching, and then what are most people learning NLP-wise. NLP, some people have had really negative experiences with it. Understandably so, because when I go look up NLP, a lot of times you can get the whole dating thing, how to, what is one I saw? There's been a big thing on, how to pick up, is it a pickup artist thing or whatever? And they use a lot of NLP tricks and tips and all that kind of stuff. This is not that kind of NLP that I'll be talking about. So if that's what you're looking for, again, you'll need to go elsewhere. But if that's not what you're looking for, you might be in the right place. TNLP takes into account conventional NLP. We also take into account psychology, psychoanalysis, and they even get into more quantum-y type of, I'll say environments for now, because I can't come up with a better word at the moment. The presuppositions that we take in TNLP, we have so many more presuppositions than I've ever heard in any conventional NLP course. So I recommend you go check them out. I'll talk about a couple. Again, that's NLP Marin to check out, and I thank them for much of this information. Okay, so beyond these presuppositions, then we have conventional NLP. What I've noticed and what I've seen, first off, it's taught a lot, whether people consciously are aware of it or not. Conventional NLP is taught in sales a lot, and I go back and forth on how I feel about that, because it's not taught with, in my opinion, as much respect and integrity as I think it should be, personally. That doesn't mean anybody's wrong for it. I think most people don't know that what they're being taught. I don't think they understand the extent of what is being taught. You get I'll call them the hype people, often have a lot of conventional NLP, and that's definitely their thing. Again, you're not really going to find that here, so go elsewhere for that. Totally okay. I'm just not a hype girl. I'm not like a cheerleader kind of chick. It's just not who I am. Not who I am. Another thing with conventional NLP that happens is, because it's more tips and tricks, there's a menu, they get a whole menu of how to reprogram somebody. And rather than understanding the really deep ecology, as we call it in TNLP, of a thing, okay, so I can explain that better in a second. Just run with me for a minute. Rather than understanding this deep ecology, they just provide all these things from a menu to somebody and then help make it go away. Okay? So, and another way to say that is, if there's an old experience running for someone, okay, let's say someone, they want to be happy in their life, or they want to make a lot of money, but all of these things in their past happened, and their thoughts, their beliefs, their identity is against making money. You know, mom and dad had a fortune and lost the fortune. The person with these negative beliefs maybe once had a fortune and they lost the fortune. Maybe they just grew up in a really poor household. Whatever the thing is, there are lots of thoughts and probably some sort of trauma or something, negative experience, we'll just say, around the whole bit of not having money. A conventional NLP person, rather than going back to that old memory, honoring it in a way that works really nicely, they might try to either erase, clear out, or change the memories of what used to happen, and then have the person just focus all on the positive, all in the future, everything else. We don't do that in TNLP either. We will go back and we will look at whatever the experience is or was that has been holding the person back from getting their desired state of, in this case, making money. But we honor it and we change the emotion of that. Okay, we don't try to clear out the experience. We don't try to pretend like it didn't happen. We don't try to have them just focus on the future. We go back and we honor what it was like for them in very specific ways, and I'll get into that in another video if it's appropriate. So those are just some examples. Those are some main differences. We don't try to guide a person to something we think they want. That's a big no-no in my opinion. That's also why some sales techniques don't work for me. You know, if you're just, sometimes people think of the pushy car salesman, which by the way is horrible sailing is a horrible sales technique in my opinion. Really good sales technique to me is just to be a real person. If the person actually likes and is a good fit for whatever it is, then you don't really have to make a sale. It's just there. If you have to push a sale, it's probably not the right thing for that person. Just throwing it out there. Or it's not a great product. One or the other. Either way, it's not a good way to do it. We don't try to make the person have a want that we want for them. So if there's somebody who we're working with, if I'm working with a client and they cannot come up with a desired state, something that they really want in life, or that they'd like to have, or they'd like to not have, and they'd prefer to have something else, if they can't come up with that, which has happened a lot more than you'd think, I don't just give them what I think they need and then do the session around that, because it's ineffective. It might come across as really effective in the session, but if you were to fast forward months into the future, it will probably undo itself, because there's a reason the person can't come up with a thing to want, an experience to want, a belief to want, whatever it is, in the first place. That's what I want to find out. What's happening there? Okay? Both TNLP and NLP, rather than discovering, we are much more interested in the how of things. Okay? Why can be a useful question. It depends on the circumstance, but most of the time it's not. It just elicits a story from the person. They're going to come up with a reason they think that they want something, why they think they want it, why they think they don't want it. But that doesn't actually, it often is not the real reason that they don't want it. It's just their conscious brain coming up with, why else would I not want this? Or why else would I want this? Or why else would I be doing this? It doesn't really help me. So both NLP and TNLP will focus on the how. How is the thing structured? There's a fly. I swear to God there was a fly. Okay, I'm not crazy. We should be clear about that. Okay, so it's how. How is something structured? It makes no sense. If you were to go into a computer program, let's say you could program, okay, whether you can or not, you can code. Let's just pretend. If you were to go into the back end of a program and you were to ask the question before looking at it, why is it doing XYZ at this part? Without looking at the back end, you can make up stories. You definitely couldn't tell me the real reason why until you go into the back end and look at how it's coded. Once you figure out how it's coded, it suddenly makes so much more sense on why it's doing XYZ that you want it to do or that you don't want it to do, okay? That's what we look at. I care about the how. So today, let's talk about chronic pain. So if you don't already know, I'm not in chronic pain anymore today, and thank goodness for that, because I'm not a fan of that. And I'm also grateful for chronic pain in a lot of ways that I'll probably talk about. I had been in chronic pain for about 13 years, from the time I was 15 until I was, about 20, I guess it was 28. Yeah, so about 28. At 25, I figured out what was going on with me, what was one of the main parts of my body that was messed up. In my case, it was my SI joint, but I later found out that I had uneven hips and mild scoliosis and a winged scapula and all kinds of other really awesome things going on. When I started to shift my thoughts, my beliefs, my experiences into more positive thoughts and beliefs and experiences, all of a sudden, this really amazing, really, really simple exercise came into my life after 13 years of trying to find a solution of some sort. I probably didn't, at the time when you're 15, you don't know all who to seek, right? You go to doctors, you go to whatever specialist you can kind of figure out, but you don't know who all to look for. And at a certain point, for me, it just became I guess this is just how it's going to be for me. Because nobody I've gone to can seem to be able to tell me or recommend to me anybody or anything that really is helping or that can really tell me what's going on. The longest time I'd had somebody be able to help me out was 2 months. I played sports, so what ended up happening is it would after 2 months, that was max. That was the max time, and then the pain would come right back for me. So I never knew what was wrong for a really long time. If you're watching and you're in pain, I'm going to assume that some of you watching have been in chronic pain or know somebody in chronic pain. My thoughts and my actions and my beliefs, I have very depressed thoughts. When you're in pain for a certain period of time, or you're sick, or something is just not okay with you, whatever that may be in your opinion, you start to it's hard. One, you're tired of being in pain all the time. It gets pretty freaking old. You don't know why you're in pain. Not knowing why is kind of a big deal. I know I said we don't focus on the why in NLP, and our brains are, as I've heard Michelle say many times, are meaning-making machines. We would rather make up a story about why we're experiencing something than not know why. It's just the way that it is. So we'll make up literally anything we can possibly think of that makes some sense in order to get out of the feeling of not knowing why. That is one of the worst things for us. So not knowing why was really hard for me. Why is this happening to me? Why me? Why is it happening to me so young? None of my other friends, none of my other teammates, nobody else is having this chronic pain problem. I don't understand what's wrong with me. So then you start thinking, what's wrong with me, right? And that becomes a belief. There's something wrong with me. You can kind of see how it would be a bit of a downfall, right? You have depressed thoughts. Why me? What's wrong with me? There was anger in it for sure, because you're angry, you can't figure out what the problem is, and it continues to be a problem, and you try to do all these things to make it better, and you can't. So it's a little tough. Oh, I hate that I can't do the thing I love without massive long-term pain. So I loved sports. I still do in different ways, and I couldn't go do what I love. I love soccer, okay? And running, in my particular case, was what caused the pain. I didn't really know why. I just knew it did. But I didn't want to give up soccer because that was what I loved. I loved playing sports. I didn't want to give it up. And it was really tough because I started to equate that if it's something I love, I'm going to be in pain. And those started to go together. Not just in sports, but in the rest of my life, right? So you kind of can snowball all of these things. It started with the pain, and then it snowballs. One thing I'm learning with some neuroplasticity is, in fact, in the brain's way of healing by Norman Doidge. I'll have that below as well. I highly recommend checking that out. What I am learning is when you think a thought, there are neural pathways that get set up. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So you have a neuron that fires, and then it hits the brain, okay, at a certain point. There's more to it, but we're just going to make it simple for now. The neuron fires, it gets to the brain. Neuron fires, gets to the brain. That initial wiring will start out as, we'll say, a single lane road, okay? But then if you fire the neuron again and it hits the brain, it'll start to go, okay, we might need to make this a little bit bigger. Fire it again, fire it again, fire it again. And by this time, this is registering it as, okay, this thing is getting fired a lot. So maybe we need to open up the road a bit. Makes it a 2-lane road, okay? If this continues to fire, eventually you get a freeway, okay? That it fires and it goes really fast. It starts to go really, really fast. If this is getting fired consistently and enough times, the neurons, or the amount of space in the brain that this takes up, will begin to expand. If that's a really good positive thing, right? Like your positive thoughts, positive feedback, positive touch, whatever it is, positive experiences, it's going to take up more space in the brain. Awesome. If it's negative, it's going to continue to take up more space in the brain. That's neuroplasticity. So you got to figure chronic pain is going to take up a lot of space in the brain there. Now, there are ways to start to undo it. I'm still doing more research. I'm not ready quite yet to talk like any kind of an expert or even a basic person on that in the neuroplasticity sense. I will talk about it in the TNLP sense, okay? So I would like to ask you some questions. Feel free to pause this, write it down. I'll put it below. You can copy and paste if you want. Some basic questions, and these are I have some conventional NLP questions, and I'll probably throw in some TNLP questions as well for you to get more clarity. For anybody who wants it and you're in chronic pain, my intention here is to start to shift your thinking. To me, there is nothing more important than being able to shift your own experience, and that starts with your thoughts. It really does, right? All things have started with a thought. Number one question for NLP and TNLP: what would you like? All right, now there are some specifics to how you'll need to write out this question. I do recommend writing it with your hand. You use more neural networks when you write with your hand rather than typing. So if you're a typer, maybe try it on for once, writing it out with this specific work, okay? Just a suggestion. Do whatever you want, but that's what I do. Okay, with the what would you like question, specifically, it does need to be worded in the positive. You can start out within the negative, okay? So chronic pain, right? In a lot of cases, in my case at least, it was, what would you like? Well, I want to be not in pain, okay? Understand that. I totally get it. You can want to be not in pain. If you're not in pain, what would you be? Okay? Go with something like that. It needs to be in the positive, initiated, maintained by yourself. As in, let's say when I was in chronic pain, what would you like? I'd like to be not in pain. If I wasn't in pain, I would like to be. Pain-free might work. You could do pain-free. I'd like to feel good in my own body. I'd like to be at ease. I'd like to be relaxed. I'd like to be able to sleep at night. I couldn't sleep at night it was not fun at all. I'd like to be able to sleep at night. I'd like to be able to go do the things I love on my own as it is, and then come home and feel really good in my body still. So something like that. Initiate and maintain myself would be that I'm doing it versus I would like this person to fix me. I can't control what that person does or doesn't do. They can't control me totally. In some cases, yeah, you could say, maybe in your case you can get a surgery. If there's a way you can find to make it initiated and maintained by self, then I suggest that. Otherwise, you start looking to other people to change your life for you. Things to think about. Just start with those. What would you like? Write it down. See if you can get it in the positive, initiate and maintain by self. Just start with that. Next, you're going to ask, what will having that do for you? What good thing comes to you when you are pain-free, when you are feeling good in your body, when you are relaxed and content with how your body feels, whatever it is that you've written out. Ask yourself that 3 times. Me as an example. What would I like? I'd like to feel good in my body. What will having that do for you? Well, I'll be able to go do the things I like physically and feel good about it before, during, and after, which is important. What will having that do for you? What good thing comes to me with that? More life to me. Okay, to me it was, I'd have more life. I'd be more excited for this adventure. I'd like being on this ride of life. What will having that do for me? I'd be able to do things kind of like what I'm doing now, right? I'd be able to help more people. I'd be able to help people in a lot of different ways, actually. Because now that I am pain-free, by the way, I can do things like help people and clients with both their mindset, other people who have had chronic pain in the same similar way as me. I can provide different options for them to try out, aside from looking to doctors to fix them. It's looking at other things, looking at the muscles. How are the muscles working? Have you tried these things? Here are all of these specialists. Whatever it is that are non-invasive options that might help them. I can do that, right? I have the energy to do the things I want to do in my life. I can go snowboarding. I can go running if I wanted to. I don't really want to anymore, but I love that I can go snowboarding. I love so much that I can go snowboarding. I love so much that I can go mountain biking. I love these things. How will you know when you have it? I'm going to say it again. How will you know when you have it? It sounds like a really silly question in some cases. A lot of times, there will be people who have these things that they want, and they don't even realize that they already have at least some of the thing that they want. So it's a really important question. How will you know? What will you be thinking? What will you be doing? What will you see? Whatever it is. What will you smell? What will you taste? Whatever. When do you want it? That also might sound silly, because a lot of you, if you're in chronic pain, you're like me, you want it right, you wanted it last year, last decade, whatever it was. You want it now. Some people, when they have specific wants, they want it in a year from now. Last couple questions. How will your outcome, your desired outcome, your want, how will it affect other important people, you or other important people in your life? So sometimes this is a check for what we call ecology. We at NLP Marin. What we'll call ecology. Also, I'm not a staff member or anything like that at NLP Marin. I say we because I did study there. I have TA'd for them, but I am not paid by them or anything else when I talk about them. Some of what I'm doing here is I'm presupposing that the chronic pain that you have, and I know I don't know you, but the chronic pain that you have, some part of your system, this is a very non-medical discussion, so we're clear. Some part of your system is generating that pain, okay? Some people might think that sounds absolutely crazy. There's no way, and there's absolutely no way I can prove that. However, if I presuppose that, then I'm able to work with you in a place that's much more effective than if I presuppose that you are helpless. Never going to change for you. Sorry. I cannot help you or be effective at all if I make that decision, okay? It's not mine to make, number one. And number two, it just doesn't help you. If I start talking to you as though this can be shifted, then we have somewhere we can go with this. But until then, we have nowhere we can go. So that is another presupposition of NLP Marin, by the way. All behavior and experience has a positive intention. We do presuppose that. So the part of you that is generating this chronic pain is trying to tell you something somewhere, somehow, deep down. You might not know what it is, but it has a positive intention for you. The positive outcome might not be there, but the positive intention is there, okay? Another way to word that last question could be, so not you, but somebody kind of like you, what kind of trouble might they get themselves into when they get this desired outcome? Sometimes, oftentimes, this doesn't have to be you, but there's usually a reason we don't have the thing that we want. In fact, there's always a reason we don't have the thing that we want. We ask the question, not you, but somebody kind of like you. If you can picture somebody else, it sometimes helps you to understand what internally might be holding you back from getting the thing that you want. How can I give an example here? Let's just go with the person with the money, okay? With the money problem. So they're not getting the money that they want in their life. All right. So we asked the question, not you, but somebody kind of like you. What kind of trouble might they get themselves into when they have the money that they want in their life? So we're going to picture this other person. So it might be that the person who's having the problem with the money will be able to make a little bit more easily a picture of another person who's just like them, but not them. And they can almost project and see the challenges a lot better. As an example, they might picture that person and say, oh my God, they would be spending money left and right and like crazy if they had all this money. So it could be one of the reasons why their system is not allowing them to have the money that they want, because it knows it's going to start getting them into a lot of trouble. Maybe they're going to go out and they're going to have a drug problem, or they're going to have an addiction problem of some sort. They're going to shop like crazy. They're going to whatever. We don't know what it is, but it might be something that's not going to be so great for them. That can all be shifted, by the way, which is what I and other TNLP people help with. Things to think about. So I'm going to go over the 5 questions again. What would you like? What will having that do for you? Times 3. How will you know when you have it? When do you want it? How will your desired outcome affect important people and other aspects of your life? Or you can ask, not you, but someone kind of like you, what kind of trouble could they get themselves into with an outcome like this? Okay, again, that's all below. Check it out. If you like this video, please subscribe. If not, don't worry about it. And have a great day. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Well, Miss Juno, what do you think you're doing? Where's Jupiter? Are you curious now? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? You a snuggle bug?